from a galaxy far, far away.
And a bookshelf straight out of the 90s.
From Thrawn to Dantooine
And everything in between. This is Legends Look Back.
It is that time of year. We are getting to the end of the calendar year. And that means I checked off my latest Star Wars book on Goodreads, the little digital bookshelf thing that Amazon does to keep you in their ecosystem and buying books from Bezos. Anyway, I was over there, clicked the button the other day that said I finished the book, and then it said, hey, you're 7 books behind schedule. There's still time.
Yikes.
And I was like, oh no, when did I get 7 books behind schedule? I'm like a very goal-oriented person, kind of like type A. Everything has its place, sort of like I've got spreadsheets upon spreadsheets upon spreadsheets, and I've got my to-do lists. And the fact that I am 7 books behind schedule, I went into overdrive. And so I have nearly completed 3 Star Wars books simultaneously this week, like a madman.
Oh my goodness.
So the 7, it's tangible. It is now within reach. I feel like I can do it. I don't know if I will, but we'll keep everybody updated on how that goes. I set a lower goal this year. I set the goal for, I had really gotten out of control. I was up to 80 books a year, and
what?
I found that stressful last year. So I dialed it down this year. I've got a new job. It's more time intensive. I dialed it down to 52, like a book a week sort of thing. And now, of course, we've got Diligent Sloth here with us in the chat, who's read like 200 books this year. You don't count. I'm sorry. You read way too fast. We know. Hey, congratulations and all that. You're amazing.
Well done.
But for us normal people, 52. Anyway, I'm shooting for it. I'm close. How about y'all? Where are you at on your reading goals for the year? We've had our own little competition going on, and that's its own thing. But for the year, where are you at on your books?
I'm very behind.
I believe that.
Very, very behind. Severely behind. And I think most of it, where it stemmed from, was, the fact that I finished my master's, and I was like, okay, I'm not reading for a while. I am just sitting back, relaxing, and of course, I've read for the show and then some, but definitely a lot less than normal.
Yeah, I mean, like with the masters, it's there's sometimes when you got to do 1,000 pages in a week, and it's just like 120, 200 pages a day. I mean, of academic stuff, and I know what you mean. Also, I love the comment from Sloth here in the chat says, not 200, it's 173 actually, and my goal was 52. So sometimes the legends.
Know how you get 52? That's insane to me.
Man.
Yeah.
Well, it's just you got your books and you don't watch a ton of TV. Where you at, Rick?
All right, so I set lofty goals across the board for me every year. I'm gonna lose weight. I'm gonna get in financial health. All these great ambitious goals. I'm gonna write an essay or an article once a month, whatever. And reading, I set pretty reasonable goals, and they are always the goal that I get the closest to actually achieving, but still fall short. So my goal for this year was 36 books, and I just finished book 30. So maybe I could do it.
Close.
But
You can do it.
I did 24 and got 30 a couple years ago. So I was like, okay, 36 books, I can do this, and I've yet to do it. But it's not that many books either. So I should really.
No, you have the
3
point where you
books.
could add plays because they're 2 hours and you're done.
Sure.
Or
yeah.
cookbooks. I've counted cookbooks before, but
Rick,
usually if I
Rick
actually
would get
read
to
it.
the first page of a cookbook, and then you'd never see him again because he'd be eating all the food.
Wow.
Shots
Fat
fired.
shaming me. Man.
Apologies.
Oh gosh. Or what about what is it? Not magazines. Oh, kids books. Count those.
Oh, well,
You're at the
that's
point
if
you gotta
we're doing
start
that,
counting kids'
I have
books.
definitely read 500 at least.
I
There
don't
you go.
count the kids' books. I do count the Star Wars books that I read that are, middle grade to. A few years ago, I read the entire Jedi Apprentice, Jedi Quest, and Fate of the Jedi series, in 1 year, and I counted every last one of those. So that was, let's see, 19 plus 10 plus 10, 50 books, So 40 actually. Okay, so let us know how everybody is doing, as you close out. This is going to be our last live show of the year, so, update over in the Discord and all that good stuff. And then the beginning of the year, the first live show, we'll check in, and we will have our final tally on the race to the finish and see who is the final winner of the year. We had a little bit of pre-show dispute about what exactly was the start date. April 7th is the official date that we started the contest, even though Emily said she did finish a book on April 5th. I don't think we count it.
Well, the interesting thing is this year, because every year I'm also a very goal-oriented person. I set goals, and usually I accomplish whatever I set out to do. I just work really hard until I get it done. So I'm kind of careful about the goals I set.
You ran your triathlon.
My triathlon. Yeah, one year I decided I wanted to run an ultra marathon, and I did. And I was very much undertrained, but I got it done. And so, I don't know. So this year, usually there's a book goal. Like, that's kind of how I started it. I started off with, 10 books or something dumb. And then I decided, I could probably do, one for how old I am. Like, a book for however many years I'm old, which seems a little mature now. But anyway.
Good idea. I like that.
Yeah, it's pretty attainable. At the time I was 23 or something like that, so it was pretty easy. And then now I'm 30, and I had gotten to the point where I was reading more and more and more. And then this year I thought, I'm going to take a step back, I'm going to have a baby this year, and I've got a young kid, and I'm a stay-at-home mom. I don't have as much time as I used to. I'm just going to focus on not setting as many goals and just being present. And so I was just trying to be intentional this year. And then y'all bring out this freaking race to the finish madness. And I was like, are you kidding me? The one year where I'm specifically not setting a goal, and you come in, and of course I'm at I don't know, 11, but who's counting?
Well, we are all counting. That's the point. Mine, and I've talked about this in years past. There was a point where I started, the book a week, and then I met it, and I was like, all right, I'm upping it at 10. And I did that. Every year I met the goal, I upped it 10. And so I got all the way up to 80, and then I think I abysmally crashed and burned last year. And so I lowered it way back down. And yet, I do take a little pride in the fact that it's more than the rest of y'all. So there's that.
Yeah. I mean, hats off, man.
Well done.
I appreciate it. Even though I'm going to lose the race to the finish, I will have read more books in general than the rest of you.
A book a month.
Well, and
a book a month is
Bible
Freddy's.
books count.
Books of the Bible? Yeah, we'll be reading Philemon a lot. You know what I'm saying?
Some Jude, sneak that in there. Third John, come on.
Hanging out with Third John, or as my 4-year-old says, Third Sean. All right.
Third Sean.
Their grandfather's name. Yep. Well, we have really loved this great year of reading. We're going to do, like I said, the next episode, first one of the year, we're going to break it all down, try to get Tyler back on to finish out our race to the finish. We're going to have the awards ceremony. Actually, I already mailed Rick an award prematurely, just believing
sure he's
that
the winner.
he's won. But if he hasn't,
confident.
Rick, it's on you to come up with the next gift. I'll say that much.
Hey, I just want to know who the loser is, who I get to assign a Star Trek book.
Then the Star Trek is
probably me.
Hopefully headed. We can go beam Freddy up over there and leave me over here alone. And I'm very excited for us to get to all of that. But tonight we have a monumental roundtable voted on by you, the fan. Or if you didn't see me point at you, if you're out, driving your car or walking your dog, or I just pointed. It's you that we're talking about. We are. What's that?
Just to be clear, we have more than one fan. I thought you were saying
collectively, you plural,
the
y'all,
one fan,
y'all.
No, yeah,
we are as voted on by the fans.
Yes,
we have Star Wars Galaxies: The Ruins of Dantooine, and I don't know that there's been this much buzz on a roundtable. I mean, we've had people talking about it. We got an art contest going on. I tweeted that we were doing it last week. That was wrong. I got ahead of myself. I mean, there's a lot of buzz. We're very excited to talk about this. And without further ado, let's kick it off. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Legends Look Back, proudly part of the YOUTINI podcast network. This is a Star Wars books podcast where, admittedly, sometimes we judge a book by its cover, but we learn from our mistakes, where we celebrate our rich EU history as well as dive into lesser-known Star Wars classics. I'm your host, Jared Mace, and I'm joined by where is it? There it is. And I'm joined by my wonderful co-hosts, including back in the saddle. We got him, folks. We had to send out Zev Sineska in Rogue 2 and the Snowspeeder to find him, but we did it. We found him. Repeat, we found him. Freddie C is back.
Hello, I am back. That's right, I am back, and I just have to say this is a really important day. We did not time this show to be coinciding with the actual shutdown of the Star Wars Galaxy's servers, which was today in 2011, according to Diligent Sloth in the chat and Reddit. So pretty coincidental that happens, but I'm pretty excited because we're going to see some bonus footage at the end of this episode of the game and of the things that we have read about. But also, I'm hanging out here with my little ornaments.
Oh, it's so
Oh
cute.
my
It's amazing, man.
That's part
Freddie's
of the
got
And then we've
a
got-
Trucet Bakura ornament,
There you go.
as well as... Was that
Yeah.
shirtless Sabayoth? What we got?
That is shirtless Sabayoth. I don't know if you
Beautiful.
can get that.
There it is. Look
Yep.
at those.
I spent some time on the internet today, Freddie, looking at instructions on how to make my own custom Jeruis Sabayoth figure. So that's what I've been doing with my day. What about
Why
you?
would
I was going to say, I'd like for you to just work your abs for the next celebration starting
What,
now.
I'm going to be
And-
Jeruis Sabayoth?
You are going to be Drew Sabayoth.
You can paint on a lot of that.
Yeah.
There you go.
You know who else has abs like Jeruis Sabayoth? Our producer, Rick Grace.
Oh, I thought you were going to Emily, not me.
I know, I
I'm
was
here. I'm here. I don't have the abs. I have the Thor dad bod.
Yes.
Regardless of the bod, this is a podcast, so, half of our listeners don't know what you look like.
They say I have a face for radio.
And the other half only sees you from the shoulders up, except for that one time where you did show your belly on the show. I think that happened. Didn't it happen? You know who has not shown her belly on the show? Except for
Well-
she did that one time when she was pregnant. Emily Dayback. Yeah, you did.
I was gonna say, I was like, I think I did. Yes. Hey, how's it going? We're here. I read the book.
All right, that's a review. I am very excited for us to get into it. And get into it, we will. The book that I read on Freddie C's beach when I went to visit him in California. And I am so unbelievably excited for us to talk about it. That is The Ruins of Dantooine. Do we have to call it by its full title? Star Wars
Yes.
Galaxies, :
Can we just call it Dant?
The Ruins of Dantooine.
I'm good with dance.
I don't know about that one. That's going to catch on. We can call it The Lost Stars of Legends.
Hey.
We're making that a thing. That's for sure. Definitely making it a thing. Emily, tell us about the book. Who's the spy? When was it written? All the data.
This is a classic. Do not judge the book by its cover because pretty much nothing on the cover actually happens.
Not a thing.
But the author,
Not a thing.
not a single thing.
Wait, what? I've never thought about this.
Yeah, I've hated this because the cover is so terrible. Like, this is so not representative of what happens in the book.
You know what I like
At
about
all.
this? There's a stormtrooper that shoots one of the chicken
There's an
walkers.
explosion.
He's in front of it and blows it up.
Or maybe
Yeah.
he's looking who's
Friendly
coming
fire.
behind him, but it's not like a rebel. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
We'll talk about that later.
Yep.
The author is Voronica Whitney-Robinson, who we're going to find some really cool facts about here in a second. Well, Jared found them, but we're going to read them. It was published in 2003, and it was her first and only Star Wars book, turns out. And she wrote it in just over a month, which is insane to me.
And some of this is, some of this is legend. Like, how much of this is 100% true? The digging that I did is that, she had written the first draft in just over a month. And then how much reviewing and editing is there? However, there is an interview from Star Wars Insider where she does talk about the development of the book, and she cranked out the first draft. So, some of this, we are, broad strokes here, folks. If we really want to fact check in deep detail, that's for some other Legends podcast. That's not for this one. You can
That's
continue.
true.
You can continue. I had to save
get
myself
this. All right.
there,
This
for the sake of accuracy.
Fair enough. This made me drop my jaw, though. So she wrote it so quickly in was it? She could write 20 to 40 pages a night when she was in the Peace Corps in Cameroon. What? Who in the world writes a book? All right, I want to meet her. Like, who writes a book in a month while she's in the Peace Corps? And Cameroon's in Africa, right?
So I don't know that she was
imagine
writing this book in Cameroon, but like when she was in Cameroon, she practiced a lot as a writer, and so was handwriting 20 to 40 pages.
Wow.
That's what I understood. Yeah, she wrote so fast she made
Some
Rick
people
Grace's
just have-
hand hurt. Okay,
My hand's hurting.
what you got, Freddie?
I can't imagine that. That's crazy. Do we want to hit this next one here?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Well, she also wrote a prequel story, a short story called, what is it? Pearls in the Sand. Have you read this one, Jared?
No, but
Neither have
I read about it.
That counts.
And once we finish the race to the finish, then I can get into the short
Then I'll have
stories.
time.
Well, first
Kinda
I'm going
like-
to do the comics, and then in 10 years I'll do the short stories.
Yeah.
But here's the cool thing about this: it's on Tatooine, and it involves a crate dragon. So that sounds cool.
Pearls in the sand.
Yeah, that sounds pretty
yeah,
cool.
that makes sense.
Ooh.
There's a pearl
Part of
and a
the game, you would go crate hunting, and whenever you would loot their bodies, they have a crate pearl, and you use that for your lightsaber.
Wow.
Yeah, it's one of the cooler
Yeah.
bits in the game
Whoa.
for sure.
That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
So she wrote one and only one Star Wars book, and then wrote the
I think it was
one that wrote the prequel short story,
short story, and then she wrote 2 books out of that, right?
and that's it.
And that's
And that's all she has ever published.
And that's all she wrote.
Hey.
because she decided, Jared, what did she decide to do
Well,
instead?
she went back to her career as a marine biologist, which is amazing.
Marine biology.
Say that again. There is some choppiness there.
Yeah, she went back to her career as a marine biologist. And last week, Rick corrected me and said she was a xenobiologist. No, that's Durst,
Yeah.
Dusk. That's her career in
Yeah.
the book. But the
I
actual...
thought she was a
the act-
bioengineer.
That's
Xenobiologist.
Dark Dusk Mistflyer. The character
Yeah.
is a xenobiologist, but
Yeah.
the author, bioengineer. Yeah, you're right. Bioengineer, xenobiologist. She's a scientific expert on animals and then how to make them weapons for the Empire. But that's the character. But yeah, the author is an actual marine biologist, which is crazy.
So she understands
Yeah, she gets it.
what kind of person, yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
100%, 100% not a self-insert character.
There you go.
There's a lot of
Powerful.
Legends authors who have done that. A lot of them.
That's true.
So
Yeah.
no big deal. Yeah. What else do we need to say about this? Freddie, how about Haden Blackman's role?
Well, let's see. Also credited with a role in shaping the content of this book is the lead game designer of Star Wars Galaxies, Haden Blackman. Jared, if you don't mind moving your cursor there, I need to take a look at what it says.
I was just like guiding you there, like the hand waving motion of
There
the Jedi Master that I
There
am.
you go. One of the most influential voices in crafting the EU, Blackman was the lead on this project. So he was also the lead on The Force Unleashed and wrote a number of huge comics for Dark Horse. That's crazy. Including Darth Vader and the Ghost Prison.
Oh,
What
hey, we read that.
My goodness, this person.
I got on a rabbit trail today about Blackman. Dang, is it the Starfighter? Yeah.
Yeah.
Starfighter game. He
Mhm.
wrote some comics for that go into the Pirate Zim's story. This is Nim, not Zim. Nim. And
Nim.
his
Oh, I
backstory.
should have gotten Nims.
So, yeah, so he's written a lot of game-related tie-in comics and stuff.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah, one of
That's
the
awesome.
I would say one of the more underrated voices behind crafting the Legends universe.
Definitely.
And is both as a game designer and like a story lead on these games, and then as a comics writer as well. And I wonder, what exactly was his role in this? Having his name on the cover, to me, I know some key Legends names. I see this and it says with Haden Blackman, and I'm like, oh, Haden Blackman's on this book. But how much did he actually have a role? Here's what we've got. Commenting on what he did and helped shape this book, he said, Voronica certainly drove the plot, but I was involved to ensure that we were going to the planets that were most interesting in the game and that we were interacting with the in-game characters. I helped guide her in that specific content so that the characters in the books are doing things similar to what players would be doing. We'll let Freddie be the judge
very
of that.
accurate.
Okay, he says that's
Yeah.
accurate. All right.
Yeah, completely accurate.
Goes on to say that it's even possible that some players may spot their own game contributions in the novel.
Yeah.
This blew my mind. This is
Yeah.
I don't know if cool is the right word, but it's something. The book highlights not only the content we provided, but also things the player community has developed as well. For instance, one enterprising player took advantage of the game's creature dynamics, which allows players to control creatures and command them to attack other creatures.
Yep.
One player actually did that in conjunction with the opening of his own casino in the game. So when he opened, he had this big tournament, and he invited everybody to it. Voronica took that idea and ran with it, and I think that's one of the first scenes in the book. Let's
That's
elaborate.
hysterical.
This
It's
is
true.
a Gungan-run casino on Naboo, where the creatures dogfight each other to the death. I mean,
It's like Pokemon, but like Star Wars Pokemon.
Yeah,
Hey.
I can elaborate on this.
Okay.
So there's a whole.
Freddie's like, this is my moment.
this is
is
Star
his
Wars Galaxies,
episode.
right? So yeah, totally. So I was a doctor and a Terrace Kasi artist, basically hand-to-hand combat. I could also heal people, stuff like that.
I thought
But there
you
are
were
people
talking
who-
about in your real life.
I know,
that this
like
was
me too. Like
maybe.
You
you
just
switch
had the most
careers on us there,
colorful life.
Freddie.
back when
in
I
the
was
game.
a doctor.
Okay, we're in the game. Yeah. But there are people who were kind of like a hybrid of like a bioengineer, where they would be able to sample and incubate and sometimes create some of the rarest creatures that you've seen in Star Wars Galaxies, like a crystal snake, which is basically like a jelly snake.
Oh, we
I
know
don't
all
how to
about the
describe it,
crystal
just
snakes.
Clear.
What about Mewtwo?
Rancors, chemogilas, which we hear about, like everything. We'll hear about the rest of the animals, but it was huge. And what they would do is combine that profession with like a combat profession, and naturally just kind of use that combo as a, they weren't really as strong by themselves as they were with their animal. They were almost unbeatable. So this is very accurate, and there would be players. It's a free open world. We'll see it later on in our bonus footage. But you could do whatever you wanted. You could open up a casino. You could have a lottery, and people will do it. It's the craziest thing.
That is-
and to see it in the book and to hear about it, it's wild that they actually took the, I guess the fans at the time too. This was early days of Star Wars Galaxies. They took the hype of it all and put it in something that we could all read.
I like
remember.
that because for me, I have absolutely zero attachment to the game. None. I've never played it. I have very little desire in doing so. Maybe one day when I finish reading all the books and the comics, then I'll be like, all right, now we're going to go play that outdated and irrelevant game that has been sunsetted 10 years ago and is still available online through emulators. However, I know that Freddie cares about it, so there's that. But I like that the more I've discovered about all of this, I've seen, the connective tissue to the game. Whitney-Robinson said that she actually didn't play the game very much, just kind of got a cursory level amount of knowledge that she needed in order to be able to write the book. So it sounds like a lot of this stuff came from Blackman. His input then was to make it connect better to the game. And so I appreciate that about it. But before we go any further, let's go ahead and give the spoiler warning. Let's give the summary. Tell the good folks what this book is about. We can then give our ratings, and then we will also get into the characters and the overarching questions. What do you think?
I like it.
Sounds great.
Yeah, I'm down.
All right. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say, spoiler warning. There is a couple of fairly sizable twists in this book that are worth discovering on your own. If you have not yet read The Ruins of Dantooine, I'll go ahead and say this. There's probably never going to be a better time in your life to do it other than joining in alongside us as we
This is your moment.
celebrate this book. That's right. I mean, it
the
is
universe telling you that this is the only time you should
Go
be reading this
play
book
Star Wars Galaxies
and
emulators.
playing that. Yeah.
I mean, this is one of the most slept on books in all of Legends. I've never heard a single person ever in my entire Legends fandom talk about the book or give any impressions of it.
Before we move to the summary.
Sure.
I was on the plane, forgot my headphones, didn't have any other thing to do besides read this book. A guy sitting next to me goes, "Ruins of Dantooine?" I was like, yeah, and that was it. That was the only interaction we had.
You didn't say, I actually have a podcast, and this was voted on by the fans, kind of as a joke, but...
No defense of the book.
Yeah, I was just, just folded the cover back.
Hold on, I can hear something. You guys hear that? Yep.
What is that?
That's the sound of the bottom of the barrel scraping. That's it right there.
Ooh, yeah.
No, I was surprised by this book. This was like, bottom of my list of Legends books to read. And now that I have actually read it, I do not think that it is the worst Star Wars book. So we'll talk about that more. In a minute. So here's the book. This is the summary. And you've been warned. Spoiler warning. Set in the events shortly after A New Hope, Dusk Mistflyer is an imperial xenobiologist held back by the misogyny and patriarchy of the Empire. Her Ithorian friend and supervisor, who speaks out of both sides of his face like a good Ithorian, right? Tindau Nandan is executed in front of her for being a rebel sympathizer. This, and her recruitment by rebel spy Finn Darktrin, radicalizes Dusk, and she goes off gallivanting planet to planet undercover with her imperial credentials on missions for the Alliance. They tour various worlds from Star Wars Galaxies, Corellia, Locke, Naboo, and you guessed it, Dantooine. Her ultimate mission: retrieve a holocron containing the extensive list of rebel operatives from an abandoned Jedi temple turned rebel base on Dantooine. Add in some romance and treachery, cameos by familiar faces from the original trilogy, almost said Old Testament.
Me too.
Moses and Elijah hanging out with Lando Calrissian.
Don't abbreviate the show notes, man.
It's a trap.
Write it out.
Add in some romance and treachery, cameos by familiar faces from the original trilogy, such as Darth Vader, Han Solo, Princess Leia, and Lando Calrissian. You've got Star Wars Galaxies, The Ruins of Dantooine. And we haven't even started talking about all the critters yet, so we'll get there. We'll get there in a minute. Let's rate the book. Go around the horn. I'm feeling like Emily's impressions so far is the most negative, so we're going to start with her, just based on that facial expression alone. And we've got, your 5 categories here: masterpiece, incredible, and I don't know why you would need any of these other 3, but good, fair, and mediocre. Emily, where does The Ruins of Dantooine rank?
I think it's good. It's good. It's a fast read, which is a blessing, and there are a lot of really cool things. There's fun little Easter eggs, like if you know bits about the game, you can kind of see like that one lady dancing in the cantina when you're like at the beginning of the game. I remember when we had our episode on Star Wars Galaxies where Freddie played it. I remember that like random dancing girl who like showed you how to dance, and like you were like learning how to dance from her. So that was kind of fun, where I felt like I was kind of in the know. So I would say it was good. It's entertaining. There are some significant, albeit not very well foreshadowed twists that just kind of slap you across the face, and then all of a sudden you have to adjust to this brand new twist of the plot. But it was enjoyable, and I will say I said I was 20% of the way through last week. I did not realize, or I forgot, that Kindle does this charming thing with Star Wars Legends books.
Yeah, it does.
What?
I said, yeah, it does.
Yeah, so like you'll be reading and you'll think like, okay, so I'm 56% of the way through. So I'm like 3 a.m., I can't sleep, pull the book out, accidentally finish the book. I was 56% of the way through the book, according to Kindle. And then all of a sudden the book was over and I'm reading the acknowledgments and I was real confused. So like part of I felt like the pacing was a little strange because mentally I was prepared to be halfway through the book. So that's why I was kind of braced for like more. But if I had known where I was, I think it would have been a little bit less jarring. But it was good. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I would recommend it to maybe 50% of my Star Wars reading friends.
Oh, wow. I mean, that's generous. I don't know that I would go that far. But
Yeah, it was good.
I would recommend it to anybody who thinks it's just based on the cover the worst Star Wars book
Ruins
ever.
of
And I would say
Dantooine?
it's actually not that bad. There's a lot about it that is not great, but is okay. So that's a decent review.
I don't think it's the worst Star Wars book I've ever. Splinter was way worse. So
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that.
yeah.
I was having a discussion with a guy at church the other day about that, and he said, "Yeah, Splinter of the Mind's Eye. That's the worst one."
Oh yeah.
And
for
I was
sure.
like,
but it's almost charming how bad it is.
"Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. It is.
It's got a special place in history.
It does.
That's the only reason for its. We accept it for that reason.
Uh-huh.
That's it.
Our episode where we talked about that book with Heather. It was like our 8th episode ever.
Oh yeah.
Was one of my fondest Legends Look Back memories ever.
Aw.
Okay,
was a good
and
one.
hey, Justin, you joke in the chat that Crystal Star is the best. Hey, I'm reading it right now, and it's stupid, but it's.
Don't make me read that next. That's not going to be 2023 number 1. All
I'm,
right, you
I'm
had
enjoying.
your laugh. You made me read it.
I'm enjoying
it was
the
fine.
heck out of it. It's ridiculous. I'm not gonna act like it's well written or well plotted out, but it at least. That's another episode. That's right. I'm discovering all about Waru. Oh, am I? Whew.
Oh,
and the werewolves. Those are in there. Okay, it's actually I want to make the Crystal Star my tree topper. I want to figure out a way to fashion it to the top of my little Christmas tree. Do you get it?
Yeah, I get it.
The Crystal Star.
Yep.
Crystal Star.
It's the tree topper. Okay, who's up next?
Song coming
Rick.
on.
Rick, what's your review of the Ruins of Dantooine?
Okay, so there were definitely a lot of things I liked about the book. Like we've already said, hands down, way better than the cover.
yeah.
A lot of interesting
Yeah.
creatures, prominent female lead. There's some good back and forth plot stuff. It's easy to read. It wasn't poorly written by
No.
any means. I like the dynamic of Dusk being a follower and a leader and kind of finding her leadership. That was cool. Also,
Yeah.
first time there's a Finn in Star Wars. Take that, canon. And he's the opposite of sequel trilogy Finn. He's a Imperial agent who charades as a rebel to really do his Imperial dirty work. Spoiler. But yeah, there's definitely some pacing issues. Some things you definitely see coming. I feel like had the book been worked on just a little bit more, it would be
Yeah.
a fantastic book. So I think I'm gonna give it it's a solid good. Definitely high good. I enjoyed it. It was not what I expected at all, and so it was a good experience for me.
Wow. Okay, well, I thought I was going to have one of the higher reviews. I don't know that I would give it good. I'm thinking it's probably fair, borderline
Jared,
good.
what in the world? You
But
shoved this book down our throats.
So I liked it,
It was your favorite Legends book.
but I like it, but I don't know that it's good. There's a lot about it that
doesn't
really falls flat. I just think Dusk is totally uninteresting in every way, but in every way, the most exciting thing to me, obviously the
Come out the
twist.
gate with that.
The twist
Oh,
was
man.
great. Yeah, somebody said the opening chapter slaps. I totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. The cameos for me were so comical that when Lando starts hitting on her in the cantina, I was dying. I think that's what I was reading on the beach was Lando hitting on her, or at least I'm running along sunny California a couple days before Star Wars Celebration, listening to the robot read it to me in my ears and trying to avoid the temptation to snag people's limes that are hanging over their fences. And then Lando says, hey, what have we here? How you doing? Or whatever he says. And I was like, yo, Lando's in this book. I mean, he had some funny things, but at the same time, those are, kind of cringe.
Yeah.
All of the cameos, right?
Even whenever the Han Solo and Chewie thing, whenever that came in, even I, the king of corny jokes,
Oh,
was
man.
like, ugh, really? But
So here's the thing. It's very Star Warsy to just see Vader hanging around like a starport and then just disappear. And seeing these things happen, you know what? In the bonus footage, you're gonna have the same feeling, I think, that you have right now.
I've gained a greater appreciation
It
for the
translates
book
really well.
as I've been, diving into the behind the scenes of it. I've really enjoyed this. I had just always heard for forever, this is the worst Star Wars book. This is the worst. This one alongside
It's not even close.
Crystal Star, I've always heard like these
There's
are the
way
two
worse ones.
the worst ones, and they're not
Oh,
to
yeah,
me.
there is.
They're not. Oh yeah, there's quite a few that are worse. I'm reading one of them right now. Oh, so the fact that I thought it was the worst, and it's not, makes it really special, right? I mean that makes
That's
it
a
feel.
good way to put it. Special. That's what it should be. Add like a little asterisk. Like there's like forget our normal rating system.
Mediocre, fair, special, good.
Special. Like that is.
That's a lot of
this
Legends
book.
books. A lot of Legends books are so special in their own unique
This
way.
is the most
Butch of the Mind's
special.
Eye. Special.
That's exactly, and that's why we talk about them. The twist at the end, the reason why this is the Lost Stars of Legends, really makes this book come around in a big way for me.
Yeah.
The more I've sat with it, the more I've kind of thought, I don't know that the relationship was all that well fleshed out, and
It makes zero sense.
That's
Zero.
the part that I just didn't like. That's what made the book good for me. Was it just like the romance part? Everything just like was a little clunky, right? There wasn't enough time to develop a lot
and
of
she's
things. and I was
so
like,
head
"Ah,
over
go the-
heels into him, and it's
Yeah,
like that's
it's
her
like,
whole
go the Rogue One
personality is
route.
animals, and I'm into you. That's the personality.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh,
Yeah,
So Freddie, what's your ranking?
it's good. So here's the thing: there is a lot in this book that, if you've played Star Wars Galaxies, even just for like a few years when it was out a while ago, and if you read this book, you would have seen a lot of things that are just like, oh, I know what that is. Oh, I know exactly what that is. Nim's stronghold, been there, seen him. I know exactly how he sits. Explained in that book exactly how it is seen in the game. What is it like? Lysopene darts and wire mesh traps. Oh yeah, like that's part of bounty hunting. One of the crafts that you can do is make those things, or use
Wait,
it
this
for-
game has crafts?
I was just thinking.
Do they
that.
have snacks too?
You can make things. Viserion brandy that was
is there a
mentioned.
Bible
like, that's
story?
a
Is this
craftable
VBS?
item.
Is this the VBS of Star Wars?
The
This is hilarious to me.
Star Wars.
It's crazy. There's like survival knife. Like that's an easy thing that's made by anybody. Like a trader can make that. The DH-17 blasters, right? Like all the animals, everything that was mentioned. This is stuff that playing the game you just see, and you see it all the time. Of course, I played it for a long time, almost 10 years, 20 years.
No, it's been out since 03, right?
So there, I think it was maybe 02, 03.
Okay.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah.
I was starting high school at that time, so it sounds about right.
Yeah. Wow. So,
so-
greater appreciation for you as the ultimate Star Wars Galaxies guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
We need to get Stephen
Absolutely.
King
I mean,
to read this book.
It was crazy. It was crazy to just like the Pico Pico, Albatross, hearing them. Like I hear them all the time when I was just roaming around Naboo, and the way they describe it, it's like, oh my gosh, this is weird.
I have no
This
idea
is like
what
the
words
first Star
you're even
Wars
saying
book.
to me right now.
Yeah, me neither.
This book felt like I was reading Star Wars, and I was like, wait a minute, I feel like I kind of lived it for. It was weird. It was the weirdest. It's like wearing VR, being inside of a story, and you're like, wait, I honestly felt like I was there for a second.
This would be the worst game to see in VR.
Oh,
No offense.
interesting.
Bless its heart.
It
My
was-
brother,
Yeah, so-
I'm gonna
good.
do a bonus video with him soon, where he has just played through Knights of the Old Republic for the first time, and I was with him, and I wish I'd recorded this reaction of when we popped the game on, and they played like the intro credits, like the little trailer at the beginning of the game, and his first he'd watch me play it a lot younger when he was younger. I played it a lot, and he was always there. He'd play it with me and stuff. We turned this on the other day, and he goes, "Whoa, this is old. Oh, it looks so bad." I mean, just like for the entire 2 or 3 minutes of watching that trailer, and this is right around that same time period, right? Knights of the Old Republic is 03, 04, right? This is
same time.
Yeah. I don't know that I would need
feel
it
like-
in VR, man.
I feel like Knights of the Old Republic was a bit more clunky than Star Wars Galaxies, but I mean, we'll take a look at the end when we in our board.
Yeah, we will. We do have some footage from Star Wars Galaxies, but before we get there, let's talk about the characters. Let's start off with none other than the best name.
Uninteresting.
The most uninteresting character, but the best name in all of Star Wars literature.
That's
Dusk,
so true.
Dusk Mistflyer. Do you think that
so
she
cool.
created this with like a Star Wars name generator, or?
Oh yeah, totally. Sounds like it.
Or like a
For sure.
stripper name generator.
hey, get out of here! All right,
Dusk Mistflyer.
I gave a hot take a minute ago
Ew.
that I didn't really find her personality all that compelling.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't
I didn't
really
think
want to
about
be
that until you said it, but like as I'm thinking it, I'm like, yeah, she's so vanilla.
Yeah.
Like she's just like doesn't know she's pretty, doesn't know she's important, and then like the Rebel Alliance is like, yeah, you're cool. Like you could be like a spy for us. And then there's like Finn.
Because her boss was a
And that's it.
spy, and then he
Yeah.
died, and they're like, well, we still need somebody to do this, so you're the next
important.
best
She's
thing.
Like, I don't know. Am I?
Yeah,
am
she's
I
very.
important?
See, I don't know. I thought she had a decent arc where she started
That's
super
true.
vanilla and then kind of became who the rebellion wanted her to be, but maybe also who she wanted to be herself.
She became butterscotch.
Yeah, maybe butterscotch. It was a slight. I don't know. I guess either she's totally a pushover and just does whoever's in charge tells her to do, or she developed in this book and found
That's true.
Well,
independent thinking.
You know, I mean, to be honest, I think they're very, the author's very clear on Dusk, who she is. She just wants to be with her animals, away from people. People don't, she's very introverted, doesn't even get jokes, right? She's like, well, what isn't going to kill us on the planet? And she says it and doesn't get it. And it's like, come on. How
point.
could you not get that?
And even to counterpoint myself here, the more I
Yeah.
think about it, I do have to acknowledge the big patriarchal elephant in the room, which is
Oh, yeah.
it's very explicit. I mean, very on the nose about the fact that she's suppressed by the patriarchy. The Empire keeps her in her place, and she's passed over for promotions.
Yeah.
And that does. I think it could have been handled a little bit more subtly, but that is very real, and that does happen. And the patriarchy is not a joke. And Lord knows that there are women who, once that has happened. Here, I am a white man explaining the patriarchy. Okay. Once that has happened
Go on.
for a while to a person, and you're repeatedly steamrolled and put in your place, it reshapes your psyche. And so you begin to think, am I good enough? Do I deserve the promotion? And so she...
Stay in your lane.
So then the rebellion does see something in her, and they need her to be brave and to take risks. And... It helps. The rebellion is led by strong-willed women, Mon Mothma and Princess Leia. So it helps her break free from the patriarchy. See what I did there? I just explained away the patriarchy in 2 minutes.
You did. Look at
When
that.
when we see the bonus footage later, I think it'll put into perspective how grand this whole thing that she did actually was, because we'll see visually what it took to do a lot of this. Now, we're not going to see the whole thing because I cut out a lot of footage of me traveling, but I'm assuming she was on foot, right? And to see a lot of this, it was probably like over 50 kilometers to just get to like 2 locations. Not
Yeah, I'm
counting the way
American.
back
Kilometers
in the day.
means nothing to me.
What's that in miles?
It's 31 miles.
Okay, thank you. Here's something I did like about her. She defies the classic Star Wars character classifications, right? So if you
does.
think about if you're crafting your own Star Wars character, there's basically only 5 options ever in the entire history of the galaxy, for the most part. Jedi, Sith, smuggler, bounty hunter,
Yep.
or soldier.
I mean,
Those are
sure,
the
I'm
only
a
ones.
soldier.
You have no other options.
Farmers.
No, they're just the farmers.
just
Okay, no, but
stormtrooper
but for an
fodder.
adventure, Rick, you don't get to choose that as a character classification for the lead in a book.
No, she's a soldier.
Rick
she's a
Luke.
soldier.
Skywalker. Moisture
He,
farmer.
he fits the
Jedi.
Jedi,
Jedi.
classification more
But
than
he
the
starts
farmer.
as a
Jedi.
farmer. He's a farm
And Baru,
boy.
toast.
Well, and
Oh.
Dusk starts as like, I don't know, scientist and ends as a soldier, right? I mean, she
Yeah.
That's who she becomes. And this is like a coming of age story to me. And like weirdly, like you said that this is like the most uninteresting character, and I see a lot of myself in this character.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, Emily. You're very interesting.
No, it's
As
okay.
a stay-at-home mom.
It was just funny because I
who-
thought I was like, no, hey, okay.
No, I'm teasing. You're
Okay.
amazing. You ran a ultra marathon.
Just
and
keep
you
talking,
Just
Jared.
stop.
have-
Take your foot out and just be quiet for a minute. No, it's like if you're, I don't know, I rode horses growing up. And so like I was more comfortable around animals than people for a while. And like I read a lot. And when you read books about history, it's patriarchy all over because that's how history was written basically. And so like it kind of does, like even though I wasn't like suppressed by men in my life, because I was just immersed in books, that became kind of normal to me. So like it makes sense. Like, yeah, women don't get ahead. Plus that's like the Empire's famous for that. So I don't know, like it just reminded me of when I was younger, like how my mindset. So it would make sense to me that this was written by a young woman who is still figuring out who she is.
That was really well
So-
said. And it turns out that maybe the women should explain the patriarchy problem more than the men. So
No, it's okay. It's okay.
That was
I'm
helpful.
just totally uninteresting.
I like
get
how in 2003 though this book was already in on it, but like
Yeah.
digging in hard too, which was fine because that needed to happen in 2003. So that's why when I first read it, I was like, oh yeah, Emily, I could see her liking this part about this message to a bunch of gamers.
Well, yeah, and I didn't even think it was like really pushing that so much. It was just sort of like pointing out the flaws of Star Wars,
Yeah.
that like the Empire is patriarchal
totally.
and like very much anti-alien. And so it would make sense that she and Tendal became as close as they were, and he was a mentor to her. And then when she's kind of left rudderless, and a man steps in and steers her in a new direction. But can we talk about Finn though? Can we like move on and talk about this
absolutely.
guy? Because why did he ever need to be a double agent? Why was that? Like, why couldn't he have just been an agent of the Empire who's like, hey, listen, I have the inn. You want to come help me find this like, what is it? The oh my gosh, the holocron. Yeah, like why did he have to be a double agent?
That's part of where I feel like this book was very short. It didn't even have the time to describe a lot of that stuff or make us feel, like that feeling that you have is pretty right on how I felt too. I was like, why? Why couldn't you just go where you were going?
Like, it was interesting. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I don't think it was woven in very well because it was like they
Yeah,
got the
that's the one.
holocron and then it was all of a sudden he's like, I'm so sorry. And then
It
she
was
has
too
no idea
tidy
for
without
so
that.
long.
Without that, the book is totally uninteresting.
Hey, Jared,
Don't you knock over my Christmas tree.
I was
Don't
about
you
to tell
do it.
you,
I see
It's
that.
wiggling.
there actually is something behind you moving this time.
And then my
is
dog is trying to get cozy with the tree skirt down there. And hey. All right, yeah. So I think the book really falls flat without that. This saved the book for me. But
It was interesting, but like
I
I
do
didn't
see it
see it
wasn't.
coming at all, and I'm a little bit mad that I didn't see it coming.
you're not supposed to.
Did anyone
that's-
else see
that's-
it?
That's my problem with these. Is you always see it coming, and this time I didn't, and I was like,
I like to know. I like to think I'm smart and that I knew before everybody else.
Did anybody
Well,
else see it coming?
That was the thing. Something was coming at one point, right? And I was like, I don't really know. It was kind of weird.
Yeah, it was
I had
like an
I had a
icky
sense
feeling.
of it. It was an icky feeling. So she did really well at giving you an icky feeling, but you're like, what the point? What's the point
All right.
of
What's
that? I
wrong
don't
here?
understand.
Jared, I'm gonna blame
Like
you. It's all your fault because I did not see it coming, but I predicted.
But I called it the Lost Stars of Legends.
Yeah, and so I was on the lookout for either. Okay, this is going to be a really cool book of all of the stories of the original trilogy where there's little things in the background, which is not that. Instead, it's a forbidden love kind of, opposite sides of the war thing. And so I was expecting either Dusk to be an Imperial agent the entire time and loyal to the Empire. He was faking to be a rebel spy, a newly formed rebel, or him to really be working for the Empire. So I was expecting one of those big twists, and I was leaning toward what's his face, Finn. But yeah, you spoiled it for me.
That's
So
an
what you're
excellent point.
saying
I didn't get it
is-
until the very end. That like, oh yeah, that's why he said the Lost Stars.
Yeah. So what you're saying is
don't
I
know.
am the one that ruined Dantooine.
Hey! That was golden. I applaud.
The ruins of Dantooine were the friends we had all along. Okay.
Oh man.
What do you with Finn though? You think there's too many Finns?
No.
I've got a total of
No,
I like
one,
it.
original Finn?
I like
2,
that
3,
name.
4, 5. I think I'm counting on the Wook
Wait.
16 to 18 different Finns
Are you
in Star Wars.
No.
Oh,
Wow.
Why so many? I've only ever heard of this one and the canon one.
Same. I mean, that I can think of at least.
There's a
Maybe
character.
canon
Just
got a little
imagine
too happy
J.J.
with it.
Abrams sitting down by his nice fire, by the fireside,
reading the
reading
ruins of
Ruins of
Dantooine.
Dantooine. I like this Finn guy. I want him.
That's a cool name. What's that? An extra N. Smart.
Is there that many Finns?
Well,
That
yeah, I
is
mean,
a lot.
they're all very minor characters, except for one of the lead characters in the Invasion comics. The comics that accompany the New Jedi Order is named Finn. Besides that, I think they're all
Just works.
fairly minor. Yeah, did anybody see the twist coming? Obviously, Emily and I said we didn't.
No.
Rick
not
was
at all.
looking for it, so you saw it coming a little bit.
Rick saw it from miles away.
But like as you
10,
spoiled
10
it.
kilometers away.
No, all right. So I think what would have fixed this for me is if we'd gotten his perspective a few times.
Yes.
If they had woven in
really
that he
didn't.
was torn and like a little bit more about what he was thinking, I think it would have been more well-rounded because he was just dark and broody and then had like weird times where he was letting her take the lead and then he would take the lead. Like I was kind of confused why she even put that in there. Like that to me did not seem like a clear lead that he was a spy.
yeah.
But I just kind of wanted more about his character.
And like the times that he just would totally like blow up all of the Imperial agents or, kill them. Like I get that, yeah, you got to follow the mission. The mission comes first, but he was conflicted, but then he wasn't conflicted. But yeah, I that's a really good point. We didn't get his perspective and that would have bridged the gap, I think.
It's actually one of my bigger
Yeah.
complaints about the book is it doesn't jump around perspectives enough. Is it entirely from Dusk's perspective? At
I
least
feel like it is.
Yes.
It feels like it is.
I think the best Star Wars books flesh out 4 to 6 different perspectives. To go
why
back
they're
and
so long
forth
compared to this
between
one.
like a Luke chapter and then a Han chapter and then a Leia chapter and then a villain
Yeah.
chapter.
Yeah.
You want to get behind the scenes with on the Star Destroyer, with your Thrawns or your Dalas, and this one is just you were just for better or for worse, you're hanging out with Dusk Mistflyer. You know who was a great character though, the absolute goat of Ithorians.
Yeah.
Tindown and Dawn.
Tin
Can we all
down
say that
and
5
dawn.
times fast?
Tin down
If we
and
all say it
dawn.
at once, it'll sound like it's coming out of both sides of our Ithorian faces.
There we
Ready?
go.
Tindown and
Tin
Dawn.
down and
dawn.
Tindown. Yeah. Beautiful. I love
Sonorous.
love the way that Ithorians talk out of both sides of their faces.
I mean, where did you expect them to talk out of?
Okay.
Their nose? Like, of course, if they got 2 mouths, they're going to use them.
The amount of time in KOTOR.
Sorry, it's late.
Yeah, very good. Whereas Rick, who always talks out of his, never mind.
Wow.
Tindown and Dawn was shots fired. Was killing the bleeding heart Ithorian the most villainous atrocity in Imperial history?
Oh my
Because
gosh.
that's what I've put here in the notes.
What?
I think
a
it's worse than the
beautiful-
massacre of Alderaan.
Wow.
No. I felt like that
Worse?
in that whole moment.
Yeah, this is worse.
No.
Killing Tindown and Dawn is the worst thing the Empire ever did.
No.
Totally. I just felt it when it all happened. I was like, it's hurting me so much.
It was brutal.
And I could
compelling.
just hear
It was.
chorus of sadness from the children just crying in agony over this atrocity.
It was definitely an atrocity, but the enslavement of the Wookiees is much more atrocious. That's
I don't know, man.
Talking about
This
in
is
this-
pretty bad.
It was personally brutal to
Yeah.
Dusk, to the main character.
Yeah.
That was the most compelling reason for her to leave.
that
the emotional-
was very shocking. I will say that.
The emotional resonance of this really hit for me. I was kicked back in the swimming pool. I was up on the floaty. A nice evening. Just enjoying my Star Wars book. Yeah, kicking back in the swimming pool.
Please
Just-
fall. Please fall.
just with it. Yeah, it might happen. This chair was a freebie. I'm just reading the book, Dusk. It's literally Dusk, not the character's name. The perfect early summer breeze coming through, and then a massacre. And I'm just like, oh no! It was really heartbreaking. It made me sick. It was a lot to take in. That's my point. It's not literally the worst thing that the Empire ever did, as much as out of Imperial atrocities that I've ever read in Legends, this one.
Yeah.
This
It
one
was
is
one of the best.
it hit.
It was.
Yeah.
It the fact that and this is why this book is pretty good in my opinion. It's not incredible. There's a lot of books that belong in incredible that you would say this is incredible. This is a good one because it really tugs at you when it needs to, and it really comes out of left field to surprise you with that twist, right? You don't expect it. I mean, these are the four of us. We love Star Wars. I feel like we would be able to see a Star Wars trope twist like that, and I would say this is the second time that they've gotten me. To be honest, Ruins of Dantooine and Scoundrels.
Oh yeah, there's some good twists. Zahn's good as his twists, that's for sure. Very good at his twists. He should be a pretzel maker. That Zahn.
Twist?
Yeah, once he retires from bookmaking. All right, so let's move on from the characters, and we'll finish all this next week in part 2. No, we're going to do it all tonight. We don't need 2 weeks on the Ruins of Dantooine. As we get into the overarching questions, let's just do like 3 of these, okay? First, before we move on, any of the original trilogy characters that you feel like deserves a shout out for their cameo? Anybody have an especially compelling cameo? My vote's probably with Lando, personally.
Yeah, Lando.
I love Lando.
He's awesome.
His
I
was
love-
so
probably
adorable.
Lando.
You're like, oh, Lando.
the most natural.
cringy.
You know, like he's in his element.
Yes.
Yeah.
The rest of them felt forced.
And
Yeah.
she was like, why would anybody bet with a vehicle? And he's like, oh.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, I know. That's a good line. Here's my working hypothesis that I'm workshopping, okay? I think, hot take, you can splash Lando into any Star Wars story that he fits in the timeline for, which is, I don't know, like 60 years worth of stories.
Yeah.
You just have him show up and hit on the girls in a cantina. And I think that he works perfectly in that role.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's so charming when he does it. Like,
It works every time.
It's Billy
Yeah,
D,
like-
that's why.
he's such a cringy character. And I think maybe he's just like so very cookie cutter and like he fits the mold just right. And it's like almost nostalgic because when we all saw it in the movies, at least when I saw it in the movies, I was like, why was this approved? Like, this is so weird. And so it's almost like nostalgic for like the original trilogy. You're like, oh,
Did you just call Lando cringy?
Yeah, he's so
Oh.
cringy.
That was the greatest atrocity. That was worse.
He's like icky. Like, I don't know. He becomes really cool. But like when you first meet him, you're like, who is this guy? And like, who let him in?
Yeah, well, for most of Legends, he's the fun uncle who takes the solo kids around on joyrides in his pleasure
He grows on you. That's the thing. It's
Yeah.
like and he comes on strong, but over time you're like, oh, he's got a heart of gold. Like, he's so cute.
yacht. Much
He
like the
definitely-
whiskey that he promotes. What's the name of that whiskey that he did commercials for?
Oh.
Not Lando.
Wasn't it
Billy
Colt
D.
40?
Colt
Something like
45.
that?
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, Colt 45.
What's that, Rick?
I was gonna say that. Oh, I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, Lando's got great stories, and so even if he's not there hitting on the female characters, just it's believable that he would be in the background of every single story.
That's true. He's
Just
like,
because he's full of stories.
Yeah. he's almost like Freddie
Yeah.
C in a lot of ways.
Yes.
You're like, yeah, he'd be there. He'd
That
be
is-
at like a winery, like tasting with George Lucas or whatever. Like, yeah, that makes
Hey,
sense.
it was Dave Filoni.
It checks. That's right.
Freddie, we were talking about this
Yeah.
before the show. That Freddie has been to his alter ego. Fred was at a wine
doctor.
tasting with Dave Filoni once. So that happened.
Just like stop. Like,
a story for another
the amount
day.
of like, okay.
It is a story for another day.
You know what else needs
Fun
to
story.
stop? Putting super secret lists into holocrons. All right.
Yes.
I think this is
Yes.
the worst trope in all of Star Wars storytelling. This is worse than
so
Super
many
Weapon of the Week.
times.
Not.
Let's
Oh,
put
that's
all of our
agreed.
knowledge in this.
And why? That's not even what
Makes
holocrons
sense.
do. Like that's not how
Right.
holocrons work.
So
That's
good.
not how holocrons work.
Exactly.
That's not how it works.
All right.
That works.
Someone tell
I've
Star
got-
Wars they did it wrong.
I've got an example here. It's Christmas time. You want to give a gift for a loved one. Imagine, there's a right way and a wrong way to do this if you want to keep your gift a secret, for example, right? If you want to get a gift for a loved one, you need to pay cash
Yeah.
and tell no one.
Yeah.
Don't keep your receipts. You want to get a gift for a loved one, pay cash, hide it somewhere not in your house, like your workplace. And this is how to keep Deep Dark Secrets with
also
Legends
how to-
Look Back, apparently.
It's also like buy drugs or something.
No.
You want to get
You
it.
want-
My
Yeah.
reason is altruistic. It's
for
altruistic.
a loved one.
Hey,
It's not that hard to hide the evidence. You just
who's your
Okay,
gift
yeah.
guy? You're paying way
How
too
much
much for
evidence
gifts.
are you hiding, Jared? Somebody check this man's workplace.
I'm actually a
I
very
will-
bad
One
gift
of these?
giver.
I
One of these.
I just bought a gift for my family for Christmas. I was going to be surprised, but I accidentally used like the family PayPal, and so
That's what I'm saying.
Within seconds, Jessica was like, "What did you spend $200 on?" And I'm like, "Disney on Ice tickets, you jerk." So,
Yeah, that's
Wait,
my
it was
point.
Disney on Ice?
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's a good gift. All right, so yeah, you're a great dad, Rick. Great
Thanks.
dad.
I also
bad-
bought an
bad
Xbox
husband.
tonight without telling
Oh.
my wife, and I'm in trouble. So I had to.
Please tell me you bought the original Xbox so that you can play Knights of the Old Republic.
I already have the original Xbox.
Okay,
This
that's
is
the right
series,
answer.
Series S.
With the controller that's this
cheap
big.
one. Yeah, well, no, I got the smaller one, but I remember those. The Duke.
So, yeah, there's a right way and a wrong way to do this. If you're leading a super secret government overthrowing galaxy-wide coup, you don't store your volunteer list on a holocron and forget to evacuate it from your rebel base. I just think that somebody needs to teach
Is there an
the
overused,
rebels.
like, clear your browser history joke in there somewhere? Like,
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's not that hard
cookies.
to figure out.
cookies for
so, like,
Santa.
We just had Andor, for example. Andor, there's so much secrecy that they flesh out in that show regarding who's part of the Rebel Alliance. Some members of the Rebels don't know how to even trace back to who recruited them, right?
Oh,
and so
yeah.
there's a couple of little pieces of connectivity, and they find out, hey, Andor, he knows who recruited him. He knows what my face looks like, so we got to kill him, right? And so that show, I feel like, does a great job at dealing with the webs of secrecy in the rebellion. Whereas, Ruins of Dantooine exists.
Come on in, guys. It's like a new visitor at church. Like, we're so glad you're here. Here, sign up this
You want to
information
start a
card.
rebellion?
Yeah.
You pay with cash.
That's exactly
In
right.
a fire pit inside of a deep cave system. Who
Which we will
the
see.
heck makes a fire in a deep cave system? Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's a
So
lot missing.
we've talked about its connections to Lost Stars. So we've beat that dead horse. We are going to talk about the cover contest before the show is over. We got I think one to show off. Some more are on their way. I'm workshopping a couple myself. Freddie, obviously you love Star Wars Galaxies, and I want to get to your tour, so we can talk more in a second about if this makes us want to play Star Wars Galaxies. Let's ask one more thing before we get into the creatures and then Freddie's tour. Okay, in the grand scope of video game tie-in books, there's been some recent ones in canon. We're not talking about those. Those are on that shelf. We're not talking about those. In Legends, to my count, I could be wrong. You've got your Old Republic books. There's 4 full-length novels that tie into the Old Republic game. You've got 10 books that tie into the X-Wing games. There's 3 illustrated novellas that tie into the Dark Forces games. 5 books in Republic Commando, and then The Force Unleashed has 2 novelizations, so I don't know if those count.
Shadow of the Empire.
Oh, I missed one. Shadows of the Empire. Very good. Yeah, so you've got the book and the comic. So, all right, so out of the grand scope of Legends video game spin-off tie-in novels. How does the Ruins of Dantooine rank?
I haven't read all these, but from what I
You've
gather,
read some.
I have read
You've
some.
read some.
It sounds like the details are there, and like
Yes.
Freddie said, you have some deja vu where you're like, I've been here before. What is happening? So that's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, exactly. And it's one of those, like, I hadn't played the game, and it's an off and on thing. 6 months here, 6 months there. But reading it and kind of forgetting that it's a Star Wars Galaxy's Star Wars book, if that makes sense. It really, it was like, oh my gosh, yeah, I know everything that they're talking about. I know exactly what this thing is that they just mentioned, and I know its purpose and how it can be used, and everything she said about the animals that we'll get to, some of the animals, everything she said about them, yeah, that's pretty accurate. That's how it is. I've seen it. It's all generated by computer, but it works. But this is definitely the most immersive book out of every spin-off video game book that Star Wars has made. To me, this one feels the most immersive.
Maybe that's my issue, is it's the only one of these where I haven't played the game. And so I don't feel like it really hits as hard. I think that like the X-Wing books, Republic Commando, for example, those really committed hard to the story more than trying to connect to the game. And so those, the author really ran with creating their own characters, building out their own little universe that is, tangentially related to the game. Whereas this, it looks like it sticks a lot closer to the game. You think that's a fair assessment, Freddie?
Yeah, I think so.
So
think
it's
it's a fair
successful in one way, not as successful in the other. It just depends on what your measuring stick is.
Yeah.
Emily, you did some research for us pre-show about all the creatures, the critters, the monsters, if you will, in Star Wars Galaxy's The Ruins of Dantooine. That's a mouthful. All right. We have a little slideshow of a handful of these creatures. Emily is going to be your tour guide, your dusk mist flyer, if you will, to everything that you need to know about all of the creatures of Star
Everything.
Wars.
We don't have enough time. There were like 1 million of them. There were so many creatures.
Are they the same
Rick,
person?
why don't? Yeah. Hey,
Oh
the
my
dusk
God.
mist flyer. There she is. There she is. I do think Emily has more of a resemblance to Avar Christ than to Dusk Mist Flyer.
Okay,
but
yeah, I'll give you that one.
Thank you, Jared. Slowly filling
digging
that hole
myself
back in.
out of the cave. Thank you.
Man.
All right,
Just
Rick,
turn your head to the.
you throw up the you throw up the pictures of the critters that we've got ready for the stream,
I'll do my best.
and so Emily can talk about those, and then Emily has some more that she's come up with that you can at least just give a cursory explanation of.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
What's first?
We've got anglers at the top of the list. We have anglers, an image of the anglers. Oh, look at this
man.
beautiful thing.
That's sick. Okay, so those were ew. What was this?
Salamander?
This is not what I had imagined. Is the angler, that wasn't the no, the dally rake, that was a different one. So
We'll get in
when
there.
did we see the angler? Eats mucus salamanders?
I don't remember
Yeah.
these guys at all.
So
I
yeah,
don't
the
remember
anglers, they're blob-like crustacean mollusks with dangling tentacles, and they
Disgusting.
eat mucus salamanders, and they look rad, and that's why we're talking about them. Moving on.
Oh my
so,
God.
So we're gonna talk about all the creatures, and then we're each gonna go around and give our favorite of the different crazy critters from the ruins of Dantooine. Does that make sense?
I just want to say
All right, so
mucus
we've got
salamanders.
this like crusty segmented blob. And
Borgle bats.
that's an angler.
Yep.
Borgle bats, native to the moon of Naboo, they were known for capturing living prey and bringing them back to their warrens where they would slowly drain the bodies of blood. These were like legendary status in the book because they're just built up to be these crazy
Yeah.
night
Evil.
vampire things.
Yeah.
I didn't imagine them quite like that, but they look very dangerous.
This Star Wars Galaxy concept art is really cool. Freddie, do you have the book about all this?
Yeah, I do have.
Of course you do. Of course you do. There's a book that's the art
Bloodsucker.
of Star Wars Galaxies, and so most of these images are
Yeah.
from the book.
I think I showed that book on
On the
one
art
of our
episode.
shows once.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Dally Rakes.
Yes. So these are
You
pretty
guys are cool.
Yeah, they're arachnids native to Talus. They can live on land or in the water indefinitely. What they do quite often is find a solid perch near water and dangle in their front 2 arms as lures. They wait for some unsuspecting fish to swim by and spear it with their venomous talons. What a cool idea. Love this creature.
It's,
They're a
Loved it.
pain.
they're a pain, is that what you said?
Oh yeah.
Has one of them ever caught you? Like you were down swimming and you were like, ooh, what is that? Oh, snap, I've been snagged by a Dally Rake.
I mean, they just go through the water and they keep attacking you, and you gotta just get out of there.
Well,
It looks like a praying mantis, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
Yeah,
I thought
they
it
do.
more of
They're
like
like-
a spider.
size of an SUV.
All right.
Sounds about right.
Next, we have the Pholumpacet.
That's
Ooh, big
definitely from Dr. Seuss.
it sounds like Winnie the Pooh.
It does. They're large
Oh, it's
mammals
looking at me.
native to Naboo. Ew.
Oh, is this what the Gungans ride?
Wow.
To
It's
war?
like a hippo
variant.
meets a
variant.
giraffe.
A variant of them? Okay.
Yeah, so that's
They are not from Naboo, so
Oh,
I'm sure we saw them.
It looks
Not
like
much
one
to
of
be
my
said
college
about these
professors.
look at kind of frumpy, a little large and lumpy. Then we've got the flit harassers, which are flying reptiles, usually growing a wingspan greater than the height of a tall Wookiee. Do we have a
What?
picture of one of these?
what is it? A flit?
The
Flit
flits.
harassers.
Yeah,
Oh,
look
yeah.
at that.
Oh,
What
interesting.
harasser, all right.
They had 2 smaller limbs with sharp claws for grabbing. They have thick hides, very sharp beaks, orange at the beak, but fading in color toward the head, and a small tuft on the back of their neck. They are native to Locke. It's kind of like a hummingbird bat.
Yeah,
Almost.
oh man, wingspan greater than the height of a tall Wookiee. That's so specific.
That is.
Yeah. What is that, like 7 meters?
Wow.
Wow.
So, okay, I'm doing some research, and yeah, the Gungan army does ride Pholumpacets.
Oh.
So
it
they're
is.
probably in the movie. It says Gungan scouts ride swift-footed Kadu into combat, while hardy Pholumpacets and Fombas haul heavy weapons and shield generators into
Yeah.
place.
Okay.
Famba-
yeah, I knew about the
Famba's
Kadu.
the big giant one.
Mhm.
The big one that had the huge drum.
So
on
this
the
is
back.
the mama bear of the animals that they ride in
Yeah, interesting.
In
Sorry, I got distracted.
episode 1.
There you go. Gurks are
Um,
funny.
Yeah, Gurks, native to Locke. They are hairy humanoids, have a large size and worrisome appearance, but they were very peaceful animals. Their hides were used in making armor. Blackman liked these and reused them in The Force Unleashed, and that's the author or the contributor.
The lead game designer on Galaxies and The Force Unleashed.
What was
like
his
the
first
i-
name?
Hayden Blackman.
Hayden Blackman.
I like
yeah.
the idea that he snagged these and just stuck them in the next game.
That's cool, yeah.
They
Copy,
look cool.
paste. Mhm.
We've got Malklocks,
And
reptilian.
if you're like,
Oh,
wow,
yeah.
Emily's talking about a lot of animals. This book is almost just chock full to the brim of crazy creatures.
It's like a who's who of like the animals in Star Wars. Like
It
she
is
clearly
just-
put like a ton of effort into this.
She's like the crocodile hunter. She knows exactly what to do in every
Yes.
single page. There's never any mistake. She's always like, "Wow, what a beauty!" You know, and just going right.
The
at it.
Legends
true.
Crocodile Hunter.
Uh-huh.
That's now
That's
somebody can make
inspired.
that into their cover art, right?
Oh, it's so cool. I like that a lot. They're reptilian creatures native to Dathomir. They were so big only rancors can take them down. Rancors. This show is really messing with me. Bioengineers used the DNA of Malklocks to create mutated variants of the creatures known as Malisaurs. Heck yeah! I want one of those.
I had a Malclock as a pet. It was tiny. He was a little baby.
Oh, this is not a baby
Yeah.
that we're looking
That
at.
is definitely not
No,
a baby.
no, this
It's
is
like
a
as big
full
as
size.
like
And-
a house.
In the concept art, looks like there's a human-sized person as big as
That's-
one of its toenails.
Yeah.
I feel like that's about the size too in the game when you see
Whoa.
them. They're about that tall.
Yeah. Man.
Leviathan. Oh
It's
my
just
gosh.
really cool concept art. All right, well, we've gone through a lot of creatures. Emily, you've got a few more
Yes.
written here. Any more of these that you've got written that you think deserve a special shout out on the air?
Yeah, so I think the Vorotor lizard was horrifying.
Totally.
There's like that one scene where a mom kills her baby and uses it as bait to like bait a hound and then eats the hurtin or something. And it was disturbing and a little unnecessary in my opinion, but wow.
We'll see the Vorotor lizard, the Quenker. We won't see the bull. We'll see the picket longhorn and the Thune, so we can see that in the video.
That's
what they
okay.
actually look
Awesome.
like.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see that.
Yeah, some infants being used
We
as
see another
bait.
animal that's not on this list.
Yeah,
Very
there's
scary.
there's some crazy stuff with these creatures. I gotta admit, when we got to the creatures in the book, my mind just tuned them out. And for me, there's the Star Wars creatures that I know from the movies and stuff like that, and then there's the ones that were clearly for this video game that I know nothing about, and was like, okay, that one is a bird, or that one is a bat, or that one's big like a dinosaur, and that's just as much as my mind. So this was not, my favorite thing. It helps now to have the concept art, though, and that's why we are here for you on Legends Look Back. You know who else is here for you? Freddie C. Freddie is going to give us a tour of Star Wars Galaxies. Now, this is going to be fairly visual, so for our audio listeners, we may cut this out. We don't know. This may or may not.
Maybe.
It may or may not make the final edit, and if it does end up in the final edit, hang tight. We're going to do 9 minutes here on the tour, and then we'll close out the show from there. If you are an audio listener, you want to go check this out on YouTube to see the beautiful graphics of Star Wars Galaxies. Freddie, show us what you got.
Oh yeah. All right. So this is the starting screen. We're gonna log in, and I think I'm on Endor. I forget where I'm at. Gotta go to the spaceport and not by myself. I'm gonna fly myself to Dantooine. So the first thing we're gonna do here.
What kind of ship is that?
Flying off. That's honestly, it's nothing incredible. I can't remember the name. I can get after the show.
Man, I know it too.
There's that right there. There's a Hurtin. See that?
Oh yeah.
That's a Hurtin right there. Here we just landed on the Imperial outpost.
What
And
planet?
I'm a rebel, so I had to basically turn off my status so that I did not get attacked.
Is this on Dantooine?
This is on Dantooine, so this is exactly what it might have looked like.
Yeah.
Wow, look at
Where we
those
were at.
drab browns. This is just the Dantooine as I've always pictured it.
And that stormtrooper just went through you.
Yep. So this is what the base looks like, the Imperial base. That's where we landed.
Whoa!
Yep. Sorry, officers. Let's get that fixed. So my vehicle just was basically exploded. But what you're seeing here is a map of Dantooine. I can't really see the details on my end too much, but from where I'm at on the Imperial base to the Jedi ruins, it's about like maybe 11 kilometers, I would say. 11 kilometers from where you're at. I think it is, right? 11,000.
Give it to me in
meters.
clicks. That's like the military thing to do, right?
What?
Not sure what a click is.
Me neither.
It's like
And then
kilometer.
on the
It's just-
complete
it's a
opposite
shorthand.
side. So that side right there is where the ruins is at. On the complete opposite side of the map is where where the rebel base is at. So they had to travel kind of a distance throughout this whole thing, and I'm just gonna there's an ATST there.
It actually happens.
Hey, that was from the game.
Yeah.
Or
So
from
we're
the
gonna
from the
fly,
cover.
I'm gonna fly over. Yeah, I'm gonna fly over to the ruins to see what the ruins look like, because I honestly didn't spend too much time there until I read this book, and I was like, oh my goodness,
Is there-
this is exactly.
Is there
what it
really a
looks like, I guess.
holocron
I was
in
gonna
the
ask.
cave? Like, can you find?
You know what? There might be. There's a Thune. That's a Thune right there. Looks like an elephant.
Thune.
Oh, that's what
yeah.
they are.
Dude.
Okay.
Yeah. And see, you just see those creatures as you wander around, and you see them.
Dude,
yeah.
your bike keeps
Why
on
does your-
exploding.
that.
Why does your bike keep exploding?
I just fixed it. Don't worry.
That's the
So
most
right
Star
now,
Wars
fixed it
thing
twice.
that you would have
Yeah,
a vehicle
yeah.
that keeps malfunctioning.
I needed to repair it. That's why it just.
He's a doctor, not an engineer. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so right now, just going to head over to the area, speed through
Holy
that.
cow!
But you can see...
Put your helmet on, Doc.
I'm going to walk for a little bit. But what I was trying to talk about earlier with like the crafted items, like this is some of the stuff that I saw in the book. It's just everyday things that you would use in the game to survive or get whatever you need to get. And it's crazy how integrated it was with like the book.
So for me,
anyways,
it just meant nothing to me. Nothing.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the crazy thing. I feel like you definitely need to play the game. And I'm walking through here a little bit because I wanted to show everyone just how vegetative this planet was. Like, it's incredibly overcast, and there's trees everywhere, and they're everywhere, literally.
Mood.
Grasses, different flowers. Imagine traveling through this for, 60 miles or so in a day with just vegetation everywhere. So anyway,
the landscape is beautiful. I do enjoy it. I mean, as somebody who spent a lot of time on Dantooine and Knights of the Old Republic, it's a little bit more lush in this game.
Yes, it definitely is. It definitely is. And right now I have my settings on low. I was using my work computer to do all of this.
In the name of the show. Thank you, Freddie.
Yeah, exactly. So I saw that weird fire and I realized, oh my goodness, I think we're there.
Was that a burning
Boom.
bush?
We are here. Look at that. There's
This
the
is
waterfall.
VBS after all.
Burning bush.
This is that's the waterfall that we talked about. This is
Oh.
the Jedi ruins.
The
I'm so sorry.
So this is exactly where we were at.
Yeah.
This is where Dusk was feeling the everything and just I can't believe all the history that could have happened here. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is the area. And it was just really
this
weird.
does
to
give
get
me
Actually
some
a waterfall.
appreciation.
Yep. And there is an actual waterfall. Yeah, that thing does not have any interest
Can
in me.
you walk behind the waterfall?
Well, we might find out.
Whoa! Foreshadowing.
There you go. So you do, in fact, have to get onto these rocks and swim around into this waterfall, and it's confusing. You can see even in the game, I'm not even sure where to go.
I would die doing this somehow. I'd find a way to die.
Yeah. Eventually,
Whoa.
I get into the cave. Remember the cave? She talks about the cave being just confusing and similar, and I was like, oh, yeah, I could see it.
Wait, the
And then
cave
she
in the
looks-
game is actually behind the waterfall?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like in the
Yep.
book.
Yeah.
And look, I look down and I see some quankers down there, and I'm not gonna deal with it. And that's what they look like, though.
Wait,
The-
watch
the
your mouth,
bile-drenched
Freddie.
quanker.
Some who now? Quankers.
Quanker.
That's a fun one.
That's
too.
them, and they're a pain, so I'm not
Bile
gonna deal with it. They're gonna give
dripping.
me a bunch of diseases, so let's get out of
I
here.
do love your speed walking. That's pretty impressive too.
That is legit.
And I give it a rude salute as I leave.
Wait, are you carrying a gaffy stick like a
I am,
like
yeah.
like a Tusken Raider?
I am, yeah. So next, we're going to head to the abandoned base, and I mean, I'm doing a lot of shortcuts. If they were traveling by foot, it's I think I want to say it's 9 kilometers away from where I'm at now. Basically, made a triangle. So that was one thing I really appreciated. That it didn't. Oh yeah, there's a bone pile. Oh yeah, I'm not gonna go.
Hey, nice radial transition there. That was cool. I saw that.
Nice. Yeah, that's a Grawl. It wasn't in the book, surprisingly. I was looking to hear about them because they eat the picket longhorns.
What?
Yep. They're kind of brutish. They're similar to rancors.
They look like a
So,
Rencor.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
As
get away
somebody
from
who's
those
never
guys.
played Star Wars Galaxies but has played a lot of Star Wars: The Old Republic, I never understood until this very moment how much the Old Republic does build off of this. I mean, it is
Oh yeah.
the successor in the world of Star Wars MMOs. It is a lot of you're on a speeder traversing across a huge map, and so is everybody else. And there's all
Oh, yeah,
kinds
totally.
of critters, and it's
And you'll see it here. By
similar.
the way, Vorator. That's a Vorator right there.
Nice.
They're
Okay.
huge, about the size of my speeder.
Like the Komodo dragon kind of size, huh?
And you can see right here over the crest, it's kind of how she probably saw it, the ruins of Dantooine, or the abandoned rebel base. And this is it. This is what it was. This is what it looks like. This is the abandoned rebel base on Dantooine.
Looks like a
So
prison.
getting to see it is crazy, right? When you hear it in the movies, you're like,
Yeah.
wait, what? Been there.
Dantooine.
Oh, so the one
it's
that-
on Dantooine.
Yeah, from A New Hope.
That was beautiful, Rick.
Thank you.
That was beautiful.
Your accent was
So we'll speed
perfected
through
just
here.
like Carrie Fisher's was.
Oh gosh, she hated that. She was not a fan of that. So I'm gonna walk into this rebel base, and I think it might be under evacuation because you'll see here. There's definitely some folks
Ah,
in this little
it's
area.
not abandoned.
And who do we have?
No.
Leia
What?
and
Admiral Akbar?
Admiral Akbar.
Oh,
Chatting.
cool.
Yeah, so that's them, and it's definitely looking like it's in disrepair, or at least they're trying to leave. There's a whole like mission and theme park in this little spot, and as I'm leaving, I notice I see some like a purple dot, which means he's a rebel, and this, it's kind of cool seeing it because seeing him there, he just leveled up.
Whoa. Okay.
People
way
are
to
still
go,
playing
buddy.
this game.
All right, so that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
In the day, you would see characters like go through the map as well.
Oh, totally. Everywhere.
so-
All over the place.
Man, that's cool.
Wave at him. Like right there, I just clapped for him for leveling up and just took off.
That's cool.
So, yeah, that's it. That's the abandoned rebel base on Dantooine on the hill that she probably looked down on.
Wow.
So
Well,
it
this
gives
is
it
this the
perspective.
first time that we've ever gotten inside the novel, like visually?
Yes.
In the
That's
history
why I
of-
feel like that.
of
Like, I'm like,
Legends
wait, I've seen
Roundtables?
these things. Yeah.
115 episodes in, and this is the first time we have visually explored the map of a book. And the last time,
Beautiful.
because I'm falling asleep. Just kidding, Freddie. No, it was great. I appreciated the tour. That was fun to get to picture it. I liked seeing. I was like, ooh, those purple flowers. Liked those. The seeing some of the creatures helped because like I said, read about the animals and
Yeah.
was kind of like, well, all right. And boy, does Whitney-Robinson love talking about these animals. Oh man,
Yeah.
does she go into detail on these creatures?
Yep.
And get deep in the cave behind the waterfall. That was cool. I appreciated that. All right, guys. Last thoughts on the ruins of Dantooine. Anything else that you thought was worthy of a shout out here before we close out the ruins of Dantooine once and for all? At least until our next episode when we have our cover contest, and we're going to talk more about that. Last thoughts on the ruins of Dantooine. Going once.
Good.
Enjoyed it. I want to say
was
shout
pretty
out to the Gungan Casino with the dueling animals. Did love that a lot. That was very cool. Should have seen more of that. I'm gonna say should have seen more of the goofy, the funny. Could have definitely helped. A little bit more humor as opposed to dire and romance and animals.
Although,
But-
like, animal cruelty is not funny. So,
I was gonna say that was one of my least favorite parts of the book.
But the Gungans, couldn't you have gotten to know what Gungan thought it was a good idea? You could have seen him get arrested. That would have been funny. The Empire busts up the Gungan casino.
No.
Anyway, Rick he liked the animal trivia. That I can tell. You just really loved reading about all the animals. Well, let's wrap it up. We do have a fun contest that is running, and we want to give a quick shout out to it. Freddie, you weren't here last week. Impromptu, live on the show, we came up with a contest. We are doing a cover art redesign of the ruins of Dantooine. We want to see your best ideas or your worst ideas, either way, for what would you make as the new cover for the ruins of Dantooine, because we will say that is what this book is known for more than anything inside it is its cover, don't you think?
Yeah. It's the epitome of do not judge a book by its cover.
Which we have repented of this week. We enjoyed the book, at least generally speaking. We have one of our entrants ready to show off here on the show tonight. Besides that, everybody else has another couple weeks. We'll show out the first show in January. We're going to do the official winner, and we'll do the full spread of all of the different covers for the Ruins of Dantooine. We have one ready to show off. This is by our buddy Jordan. Jordan has designed a beautiful cover of the Ruins of Dantooine. Rick, are we ready? Here it is. It's stormtroopers at, like a ruined rebel base. And it's got the green and it's got the drab brown. Really got those colors just right.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's,
And it
that's
says-
that.
This is
what I
perfect.
pictured.
This is
Oh,
fantastic.
wait, there's a Corinthian column, as if the Greeks were there.
That's how you know
The
it's
ruins.
that's how you know it's
It's
ruins of a
ruins.
temple, right?
I love
Yeah.
it. It's so good.
I thought the rebels would be here. The stormtrooper is
That's my
saying
ironic column.
the stormtrooper that looks like a Goomba, like a sad Goomba from Mario.
Yeah. Did it.
Anyway, it is as of now the front runner as the only
It's beautiful.
completed piece of art.
Where
I will
do
say this
we-
much.
Where do
I'm
we
working
send-
on some.
Where do we send our submissions to?
You can either do it in the Discord, in the Legends Look Back Discord channel, or on Twitter, where you can find us at Legends Look Back, and we are accepting submissions there.
Okay.
Besides that, you can knock on our door. That's fine too.
All right.
Rick's address, he
Snail
just sent
mail.
it to me the other day,
Mm-hmm.
is 20. I won't do that.
Here's
Carrier pigeon.
Finn Dark trying to show his picture. I thought he was Deveroning after seeing this. Is that like what's his does he have
What's up
horns?
with his horns?
Those are not horns. Those are like long braids that go to the back of his head, to his back.
Okay.
They're just very interesting.
And then here's the goat,
Yeah.
Ah,
Oh yeah, there it is.
Tyndall,
yes.
pre-death. Rest in peace.
He's an
Tyndall.
Ithorian. Thank you very much.
I know. He was saying the greatest of all time. Goat, not his species.
Oh, you're really hip with the youth lingo, I see.
Yeah.
Goat.
Lit fam.
So it's been great. I've enjoyed it, and I'm gonna go ahead and say it right now. I'm probably never gonna read it again, but we did it,
We're done.
and I never thought I would, and I'm very proud, very proud. And it
Brought
went.
us all with you.
This one counted in my Legends race to the finish, and as it did for all of you, because I'm gonna bet none of us would have read it had we not had to do it for the round.
Low on the list. But yeah, I'm glad we read it because it's
Nope.
Yeah.
higher than it should than it currently
We can.
stands.
We
It was
can.
good.
We should
We will be its voice.
we should
That's right. We will champion this thing. I brought this thing to Star Wars Celebration. We put it in the YOUTINI booth on display.
We
The
did.
folks at Del Rey, they saw it and they commented on it. Just like you can. You can, of course, submit all of your feedback about everything you thought about the ruins of Dantooine. There's a number of ways to get in touch with us. You can, of course, find all of the contact information in the description below. Now, you can find us, like we said earlier, at Legends Look Back on Twitter or the YOUTINI Discord. That does it for this week. Thanks for joining us here for Legends Look Back for this monumental roundtable. Thanks especially to our incredible patrons for your support. Special thank you to our Jedi High Council, Brian Dooley, Earl Q, Patrick Ortiz, and Carl Sander, and the Alliance High Command, Ashley Ingalls, Elizabeth Cloutier, and Sally and Chris Eilerson. Remember to sub to the channel and leave us a review in your podcast platform of choice. And remember to keep the YOUTINI fan code and be a force for positivity in the fandom. May the force be with you.
This is a YOUTINI broadcast.